stand up and give a warm welcome to Juraj Vaculik. Juraj, thank you for coming.
Good evening.
We're going to be starting with a short presentation about the story of Aeromobil for about 20 minutes. And after that, we're going to sit down and have a chat about the company. So Juraj, it's all yours.
So I hope it works. Good evening. Thank you very much for having me here. It's a big pleasure and honor to share with us the story of Aeromobil. I don't want to bother you, but explaining and discussing the flying car is not an easy task because people are still thinking that it's just some animation, not the real stuff. So really shortly, I will share the story, and then I will be ready to answer all your tough questions and survive your grilling. So really, in a very few slides, this is what we are deeply believing in Aeromobil, and this unites a very diverse team in a very unusual place for such an innovation like Slovakia. I will mention a bit later. But as Marian mentioned, my story is a bit unusual, so I would like to explain that I started by education. I'm an artist. I was a theater director. For a few years, I was successfully doing this business. Then the second part of my life started as a movement which ended up communist regime in former Czechoslovakia. I was one of the student leaders those times, and I'm really proud because a lot of my very strong relations with the people still very valid for me started those years. Then somehow I moved into the new life. I started a few companies as an entrepreneur. I will not go into the details. Marian already mentioned some of my companies. I'm still an angel investor in different companies here in Europe, in the US. But the usual questions I'm getting. Okay, so I lost the connection. Sometimes it's much easier to build a flying car than to operate it. So if there is something common in between the artist and student leader and entrepreneur, and my opinion that each time there must be something behind, and it's vision or some big dream. And not only, but to succeed, you need a very diverse group of people, but you need to unite them with one bold goal, and this is only one way how to succeed. So, but we are here to discuss Aeromobil story. So, as Marian mentioned, at the beginning, it was not me. It was my co-founder, Stefan Klein, who was dreaming how to, as he's usually saying, marry the car and the plane, which we are not the first ones. Actually, the first trial for the flying car happens in US in 1917, 17, really very few years when first car and first plane was created. So mankind was really trying to merge both technologies into one, but it's not an easy task. So for 20 years, in his private small atelier in garage, he was trying to build the initial one, what we call Aeromobil 1.0, which was a totally different concept. Then, actually it was 2009, he built something which was like, let's say, the first proof of the concept. And nobody was believing. Really the problem of him was that he met so many people, investors, people from academia, and he was trying to convince them that this could be real, but only as a technology. So then we met because we knew each other from our student times, and he approached me, and on the very first meeting, and that's true, I decided, okay, I will go with him into this venture, and we will build something which will be amazing. So 2010, to make a long story short, we founded a company, but first years was really very simple. I would like to introduce Stefan because he's a really amazing person. All his life he spent in academia. He built in Bratislava, which is not so known, but very respected department of transportation design at Academy of Fine Arts. Probably all of you listen about Bugatti Veyron, for example. The designer behind Bugatti Veyron is one of his students. Today, over 50 people, top designers in all the global automotive companies are his former students. And next to his official job, he was really trying to build a flying car. I already mentioned myself, so I will skip this. And this equitation Stefan did, that's why we were able to start this, because by soul, by our background, both of us, we are artists, and each of us, we cover more than just one position. So he was engineer, designer, and testing pilot, and I was investor, businessman, and marketer behind the project. And we were discussing it really for 3 years, and how to start, what will be the technology, how we will use it. And through some personal context, we got an invitation in 2013 to Montreal to showcase this vision. Aerotech is really very respected technology conference in aviation. And then marketer inside me decided, okay, we must change the game, because if it will be another group of people just showing some sketches and explaining this project, we will never succeed. So then I decided, okay, let's build what we are calling analog project, not just some digital sketches. So we built what we are calling pre-prototype 2.5, which was physical representation of the project. It actually flies, it drives, and when we started our presentation in Montreal, after very few seconds, I realized that, okay, it's here, because when I saw the respect in the eyes of all those respected people from aviation, I knew that, okay, we are getting there. So then the decision was very simple: keep the momentum, and how to move on. Of course, immediately we start to getting a lot of invitation, both from aviation and automotive, to showcase Aeromobil on main automotive shows and aviation shows. But I decided, no, that's not the right decision, because first and foremost is a groundbreaking technology. So we need to showcase it on the right events like Pioneers in Vienna or South by Southwest in Austin. And the momentum was not only about the media, but to build it in real. So he was flying the first prototype with such instrument panel, which was really very, very simple one. But I'm proud that as a manager that I was able, in just 10 months, with a group of 12 people, including me, and I'm not an engineer, to build current prototype in carbon fiber, leather, interior steel, not the final one, but something which impressed a lot of people. So for those of you which does not saw it until now, here is the short video which presents 3.0, which is the last prototype which we revealed. So you just push one button, and in 2 minutes, it's transformed from the car into the plane and vice versa. And you can drive it as a regular car. It fits to the standard parking place, so it's less than 6 meters. And you can fly. You don't even need regular tarmac, takeoff or landing space. Just grass, airstrip, it's enough. Thank you very much. So, again, okay, here we are. So this is the team which built the product which you saw in real life. So immediately, globally, all the media, brand ambassadors, social media went crazy. So for us, we're really sitting in Slovakia, seeing how Marc Andreessen is tweeting about us. Even the big companies proud, like Virgin, Lenovo, X-Prize, with the old and also the new one. If you will today log into the BASF global website, they're really doing a lot of positive PR for us, showcasing Aeromobil as a really big innovation. Just few examples, but at the moment we are really trying to keep it low because we need to over-deliver, not to over-promise, but we got really a lot of coverage, like one of the game changers, innovation of the year by Popular Science. But the real question is that do we need a flying car? And just in really brief showcases that where we can use something like the flying car. First one, it's what we are calling medium distance travel. Because when you are using regular multimodal transportation, you need to change your transportation vehicle. It takes some time. And even the commercial airliner is much faster than we are flying at the moment. The final time, it's much longer than really door-to-door transportation. The second use case is commuters. This is a huge case, not only in Europe, but mainly Asia, US, and there is a huge, huge potential. Just I would like to point out that in next 20 years, more than all the cars we just produced in the previous 100 years of automotive industry will be produced. But the biggest use case for us, where we see a huge potential in the future, is all those countries without any infrastructure. Let's imagine China, Russia, Brazil, Kazakhstan, you name them all, and it's a really huge market. There is an estimation that by the end of 2030, more than $8 trillion US needs to be spent for the missing infrastructure. So, how to sell it to the world? First product will be really the niche market. Limited series of what we are calling Flying Roadster, and then we can discuss it later. What does it mean in real? How we can use it in real life? As just two examples, how we can use existing infrastructure, because there is so many airstrips also here around London, or each highway could be easily adopted because the last mile will be done each time as a car, or each gas or petrol station could be easily adopted. So there are really the use cases also in infrastructure. We are not the only ones, but I'm really so proud that a lot of experts are awarding Aeromobil as a most advanced flying car. There are some military projects, and still this market is growing. But we had a functional prototype, a lot of media coverage all around the globe, but still something was missing. You know, a bunch of Slovaks doing the flying car, it does not sound very credible. So I was dealing with that, how to build the credibility. So first step was to build the world-class advisory board. And really, there is a strong British link because through Glenn Mercer, the former global head of automotive at McKinsey, we got an introduction to Anthony Sheriff, who is the man who built from zero to hero McLaren Automotive, and not so known name, but in US, very respected inventor Dean Kamen is also part of our advisory board. So with the help of these guys, we moved really forward, and we lost again the connection. The Wi-Fi still is making my life more difficult. And a lot of industry experts. So there is management team. 2 members are here with me. My CTO, Doug McAndrew, British citizen, working for years on really senior positions with McLaren, BMW, Jaguar, Land Rover, and Martin Brunsko, the former head of Europe at World Economic Forum, so you can talk to them after my presentation. Here is the core engineering team. At the moment, we are close to 40 people, so still very lean company. A lot of people coming from different countries. At the moment, we are 6 nations in Aeromobil, again, mostly from UK, so looks that it's a really strong link between Slovakia and United Kingdom. Okay. I hope that the connection will work. Our lives are depending on Wi-Fi so much that without them we are lost. But I think that the important stuff was done, so maybe I will switch it into the slide and we can discuss.
While Juraj is going to switch the presentation, I just want to show of hands. We've heard that the first flying car was built in 1917, a long time ago, almost 100 years ago. It took a long time to come up to this stage. How many of you really believe Aeromobil is going to make it into a production and be a success? Give me a show of hands. Okay. How many of you don't believe it's going to be as big as you represented it? Are there some skeptics in the room? So we have roughly 40 minutes to convince those guys. Let's sit down, let's chat.
I hope that after this discussion there will be more hands raised in a second question.
While we're doing this, you guys also have voice. Please take up your mobile phones and open your browser. Do me a favor. Can you all now take out your mobile phones and open the browser? And all you need to do, just type in slido.com. That's it. No downloads, nothing else. And just use the hashtag #StartupGrind. And any questions you have, feel free to ask. I promise you the top 10 questions will be answered by Juraj, personally. So, Juraj, it's been a wild ride, of course, and you've built some businesses before. Let's start from the beginning. Tell us something about how you grew up and what did your parents do for a living?
I'm coming from artistic family. My father was an actor, and my mother was manager of the theater. So these two skills are somehow combined. I believe in myself that part of my person is still artistic and part of my person is manager.
Sounds like Steve Jobs, doesn't it? I know, so you've been in this student movement, and soon after you were a director at a theater. Is this true?
Yeah, that's true. I was, and it was again so unusual because when I was at university in third year, I was asked by my professors to be the director of the theater, which was very famous in 60s, but then the communist regime closed the theater because it was against the government. So after the revolution, one of the first things they did, they start to reopen the theater, but knowing that they are just the artists, they was looking for somebody who will be the new artistic director. So it was totally crazy. I was 25 years old, and I was hired by my professors. I was still at the university to be their boss.
Oh, interesting. And how did you go from there into the advertising industry?
And again, it was crazy years in my country that immediately businesses start to coming into the country, and first ad agencies, global ones, came to former Czechoslovakia. Nobody was, of course, trained and educated for these new jobs, so they was looking for people which will be able to adopt into these new jobs, and they were looking both from management field and from artistic field. So with no experience, I was nominated as a creative director of famous BBDO network, so I was the founding member of the Slovak and then the Czech team with no experience. My first lesson was during the weekend Ogilvy advertising. And after that, I became a creative director, which was totally crazy.
Are you just lucky or are you just so skillful? What's going on?
I don't know. I was just trying hard and, of course, trying to build it each time, not just on me, but on a team.
Okay. And so you build the agency and you have many clients. And what made you change from something which is successful, up and running, into something new?
But I need to mention that there was the stage then after 1 year, less than 1 year with BBDO, I decided, okay, it's nice, but I will do it differently. So I decided to leave and I left BBDO. I founded my new agency, which started a very small hot shop, creative shop, which grew extremely fast into one of the biggest agencies, which is still running. I have an amazing management there. They're doing well. And I was looking for some new venture, new excitement. So beginning 2009, 2010, I started my new period of life as an angel investor, investing in different projects, and one of them was Aeromobil. And in very few weeks, I realized that it's not about the money. Of course, it was a big part of my involvement, but also about managing and building the company.
Yeah. I have to give you credit for having a big vision, and I don't think I know many people who have a vision as big as this one. How many of you have heard about the Hyperloop? Elon Musk's idea for fast transport. So some of you might know that the CEO of Hyperloop is today in Slovakia, where you are from. And so they building this idea of building the first Hyperloop between Bratislava, the capital of Slovakia, and Vienna. And
in 8 minutes.
In 8 minutes. It takes 45 right now with the car.
To travel then.
Yeah, to travel. Now, it takes a long time to build a Hyperloop, and it's just a tube between two cities. What Aeromobil is, they can connect any city, anywhere in the world. They just take off. And this is something which struck me when I first spoke to you, right? I have to admit I was skeptical. I also thought it's just something which is for rich boys from the Middle East. You know, they have $1 million or $2 million, they can spend it on a flying car, and or 10. But after we had Juraj present at one of the think tanks which we run in Slovakia, I was amazed about the vision, because as you can see, Hyperloop has a lot of investments needed. They build a car and they can sell it anywhere, and the car is bringing cities which are in the for them sweet spot from traveling, you know, by car 4 or 5 hours, 5-6 hours, because when you want to go and fly, you have to go to the airport and you have to go through security. You have to wait for the plane to take off. You have to wait for the plane after it lands. And for this sweet spot, it's really a very fast way of transporting it. How do you think the public will react after you will launch, positively or not?
Of course, each new technology, innovation, disruptive innovation needs some time. In our case, it's even tougher because it's not software startup, it's hardware startup, which is each time a bit difficult by investment, also by regulation, and especially here because I'm usually saying that we are not just merging car and a plane, but 100 years of bureaucracy in the air and 100 years of bureaucracy on the ground, because we need to fulfill legislation, both automotive and aviation. So it will take some time. Our strategy is really this kind of innovation. It's even military or some niche market. So we decided that the initial product will be a hypercar with wings. But this for us is just proof of the concept by regulation, by technology, by brand. And once we will succeed with this, the next big step is a combination of things which are already happening. We are presenting that it will be not just the self-driving car, but the self-flying car, and the technology is already there. And
how ready are you with that? 80%, 5%?
Definitely not so far with the initial product. What's great that we can outsource a lot of things. Of course, we are not able to build everything internally, but it's great that now we have an access to the teams, both on universities and best global companies, which we are establishing the partnerships, and For example, they are in testing not just the usual autopilot, but what's called AI, artificial intelligence for the flying, adaptive flight control, and this kind of system. Of course, regulation will be crucial. So until then, we will be the regular plane with autopilot, with the 3.0, the prototype we just saw in the video. There is already an autopilot. So. Yeah.
Let's talk about the first 100 years. Why do you think all these companies have tried and failed? Why is that?
It's a combination of more reasons, just one. Of course, the stage of technology. 20 years ago, the autopilot was a big box, extremely heavy, so to install such a thing into Roadster was simply impossible. For example, access to the materials like carbon fiber was really regulated. Now the small team as we are, we have an access to the technologies which are the same quality and same advanced sources as big companies are having. So partly because of that. The second part is, of course, the technology. We have a significant IP behind the company, the way how we are transforming car to the plane. There is patent for variable angle vertex, so we are able to move the wings in a way which the normal planes are not ready to move. Of course, there is something unique in technology.
So when you start and when you help this friend of yours to take his idea, his dream to build this plane, how do you start? Because it sounds overwhelming. What do you do at the beginning?
No, as I said, we were just sitting and talking, and I was trying to understand how this could really work in real life, because my co-founder is an amazing inventor, but he is everything but not an entrepreneur. So he was definitely interesting if this somebody will buy and how it will be used. He was just so focused on building and combining these technologies. So we are really trying to set up the first stage of the project and to be able to create an environment which will allow us to start to sell this to the people. And this was my job, really, to create the use cases and to build a team and to convince everybody that this will be something like the cell phones, which for me is a nice example, because 15 years ago, we had a technology. There was phones mounted to the wall with the wire. We were able to calling each other, but not in a way as we are doing at the moment. There was a lot of studies which predicted that it will be never exponential as it is at the moment, and it will be still linear. And here, I believe that versatility is a new quality. Like with the cell phones, there was again predictions that they will be never used so often for mailing and browsing as it's these days, or for video watching, because the plasma screen is much better than a small screen in your pocket. But because it's so versatile, people are using it much more than anybody can imagine 15 years ago.
That's true. I had a quick meeting yesterday with my ex-boss who used to be running marketing for Orange for Europe at the time when the iPhone came on board. And today he's the managing director of BCG, Boston Consulting Group Digital Ventures. And we talked about how the iPhone just changed the industry, because we used to have a lot of talks about how Orange and the mobile operators can become a digital provider. But they didn't, because the iPhone changed everything and they just became a pipe. And people just buy it for data and calls. And it is quite possible that this market just needs somebody who is strong and has a vision and just delivers on the promises. And you told me several times that you try to under-promise and over-deliver. What do you mean by that?
Because, of course, it's so fancy story. So we were approached by Hollywood, different people, but for us it's not just the marketing stand or Hollywood prop. It's a serious technology which will change the world, and the personal transportation. And personal transportation must be disrupted, because with current technologies we are able to move everything super fast and super efficient, but just the data. 20 years ago, to move 1 petabyte of data from Palo Alto to San Francisco, it was maybe faster to pick up some car and send old Bernoulli disks in real data format. But to deliver one person from Palo Alto to San Francisco, these days it may be longer than 20 years ago. So really we need innovations like Hyperloop, like the flying cars, and our story is that for this it's very simple term, we need to move transportation from two-dimensional space into three-dimensional, because there is something which is an amazing infrastructure called the air, and we can use it immediately.
And traffic jams are bad, so we don't like them.
Absolutely.
Yeah. At the beginning, you funded the whole enterprise yourself.
Yeah, until April last year, for 5 years, it was fully funded by me, so you can see that I was really deeply believing in Aeromobil. But of course, my funds...
Were you nervous doing that?
my sources are a bit limited, so and it will be not the best way to be fully financed just by me. So from April, when we got the first VC into the project, and even it was not planned, then I realized that this kind of project must be the combination of private and public. And fortunately, the government in Slovakia realized the potential of Aeromobil, so we got also the state grant in July last year. So at the moment, it's a combination of public and private funding. So it's not anymore just me.
Okay. What is your future of the funding of this project? What is your plan?
To find the right money, to move project forward in the right direction. So we still, in this stage, we are raising around approximately 5 million euros, which will allow us to move into the phase when we will have the final PP, pre-production prototype, and the final information about the final configuration, bill of materials, and so on. And then we will raise the Series B, which will give us the runway until the production.
Okay, so you're talking about raising a small round now, then Series B. Any plans of IPOing around the time of the launch or not?
No, this is not our preferred option. Of course, it sounds again very fancy to IPO the flying car, but we want to build it. And what I want to explain that this luxury product is just the start. Where we see the huge potential, it's, let's call it flying Uber. Combination of this technology and a sharing economy. So then you don't need to own it, you will just have an access to the flying car.
From your company perspective, do you plan to own a pool of flying cars and rent it out, or you just want to give it to Uber and all the Lyft and people like that?
We are looking for the right clients, which in initial phase will be just the private individuals, but it could be also enterprise sometime in the future.
Do you plan to own a pool of flying cars to rent out to companies like Uber?
No, we want to sell them.
Okay, so you want to sell it. Interesting. Now, when you see what's happening with Tesla, and Tesla has this simple plan of 3 steps. Building something very expensive, very high-end, to learn how to do that, then do the next stage to have an improved prototype and better car for a mid-tier price, and then something cheaper. Do you have a similar plan?
You know, there are some similarities. Of course, our initial product, it's very similar to their strategy, niche market, premium price, and then for scaling, but it will be not only building more for less, but it will be also adopting new markets like the sharing economy. And this comparison also work in different way that the initial product with Tesla was not the original one. And when I read the book about Elon, he told
it was Lotus, right?
that it was Lotus Elise, that if he will be able to do something again, he will build it from scratch as an original product, which we are doing. It's something absolutely unique, which is using nothing from some other product, but it was built as an original idea.
What have you learned from the Tesla story with the version 3 cars? You guys might know that they have bookings of over 400,000 cars, worth I think 14 billion, right, in a booking value.
Yeah.
To me, it sounds incredible. Do you plan to do the same?
I hope. I hope really epic success, but it's a bit different because it's the usual question when we will start to take pre-orders, and there are some clients which are ready to to prepay this kind of product, but here we are trying to be absolutely serious until we will have the final configuration, which means from what kind of engine we will use, because we are testing the different powertrain option, what will be, what kind of autopilot and so on. So until the final configuration will be set up, we are not starting the pre-sale phase. But once this will be ready, of course, the usual case will start. So we will start to take deposits and pre-orders to build this initial product.
How much say do you have in deciding on the final configuration and the powertrain and the chassis? Because you're not a technical person, you said, right? Do you let the guys just fly, or do you have some say in that?
No, of course, I'm usually starting my management meetings that my first sentence is, as all of you know, I'm the most incompetent person in a room, but I'm listening really to the senior managers which I have, and their skills, their experience are really crucial for succeeding. So I have Doug here somewhere. Please, Doug, stand up. So
hello, Doug.
There's my CTO, and he is responsible then for what kind of powertrain will be used and what kind of components. So. And
Doug is coming from McLaren, so he knows his stuff.
Yeah.
You're probably the only person I know who employs an ex-junior minister. How do you get these guys to join the company? Do you pay them so much, or you just promise?
You need to have a lunch with him. When he invited me for the lunch, and he tried to convince me to be the part of his startup, which he was building at that time. And this was the story when we were eating starter. But at the dessert, he was decided that he will join my team.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So he pitched you, but at the end, you employed him. It's a good story. So what is your strategy when hiring people? How do you find them, first of all, and how do you convince them to join?
The hiring was different a few months ago because this was through the personal contacts. So Anthony Sheriff, the mentioned former chief of McLaren, once I was able to convince him with the team, he was really doing amazing introduction to the right people. So this was the initial phase. Now it's a combination, of course, of the personal contacts of the people which are already in the company, but at the same time we are using the world-class recruitment company specialized for this world-class engineering.
Okay, so you started with personal introductions first?
Yeah.
Okay, how many of you are growing fast and hiring new people, new employees? Anybody in the audience is looking for other team members to join? Yeah, there's a few hands. Okay. So when you want to find the world-class person, what are the key things they want to know? Is it the vision you have, or is it the competence they see in you, or is it the salary?
No, it's definitely not about the salary. It's that they must be excited, they must believe into the vision, they must be really convinced that what we are doing is serious stuff, and that we had the real prototype. It helps a lot because we are not selling just some crazy idea, but I saw it each time that when we invited some of these world-class engineers for the first visit, they came, and first minutes and hours was really very careful from their side, but once they saw the prototype and they start to digging deep into the product, they were so amazed, and they was also able to imagine how this could be upgraded. So once this will be really in industry level built again, so we need to rebuild the product once more. So this convinced them, and for a lot of people, this is the new challenge. Of course, with the track record, which most of them already have, it's just another part of their life when they can be part of something really unusual and big.
Yeah, and of course they're gonna get their own private flying car when you launch, or not?
It's not part of the contract.
Okay. Let's look at some questions in the audience. Somebody's asking, Ashley Grealish, do I need a pilot license? Will autopilot AI play a part?
Second part?
Will the autopilot or AI, artificial intelligence, play a part in flying the plane?
No, with the first product, definitely you need both licenses. But it's like with the car, you are not allowed just to buy dealer's room a car and legally start to drive it on the street without a driving license. So we need both driving and private pilot license. But it's not such a big obstacle because for the initial level of PPL, private pilot license, in US it's just 25 hours of training. In EU it's 40 hours of training. So I think having this opportunity, it's enough motivation for doing that.
Yeah.
In the future, of course, but for that also new legislation framework is necessary.
And how do you handle that? How do you know what are the requirements? Because there must be many you need to fulfill. How do you stay on top of what the EU or the world needs? And how do you decide this with the final specification of the car?
No, I think that what was smart at the beginning that we put in place legislation as a really crucial topic. It's not about just technology and design and marketing and vision, but of course legislation, because we don't want to be in a situation when we will have the final product, but we will be not able to certify it. So I was really trying to keep it with the first product that we will be able to fulfill the current legislation. And it's happening. We already did some feasibility studies, both as aviation and automotive, with really world-class companies which are doing that. So we knew that we will be able to build the initial product under the current legislation. But what's really great that the big move is happening, but not because of us, but because of drones and unmanned aerial vehicles. This certification and legislation, especially for aviation, is changing.
Yeah. We know that Elon Musk had a big issue with this at the beginning. He didn't take care of the legislation too much. And then he had issues. What was your biggest obstacle in terms of legislation and regulation?
Of course, this combination, because in some fields they are absolutely in opposite requirements which you need to fulfill as a car and as a plane. So find a way under the current legislation how to combine them and not to limit the final product. I really love the sentence which Doug mentioned once at our management meeting that we need to build it in a way that it will be better car because it's also the plane, and it will be better plane because it's also the car. So not to have it as a limit, but to have it as a challenge and to find a way how to incorporate something from one field into the different field.
Okay. You're mentioning drones. We have questions here from Anonymous. With all the worrying about drones, and how will hundreds of flying cars in the air be managed?
Again, IT is coming to the place, and it will be not, in the initial phase, it will be not so many flying cars, but once this will start to be massive and more will be in the air, it's important that already now there is really thousands of units each hour above us, but it's controlled, and with a new system which now it's prepared and will be adopted, like TICAS and anti-collision system and CESAR. So there is a new system already prepared which will help us to organize our space and all those units in the air.
Who will be managing it?
In Europe, it's Eurocontrol, which is a regulator which is taking care of this.
Okay, and it's also autonomous, so you have anti-collision systems built in?
Yeah, these technologies are here, of course. They must be regulated. So with the old systems, you have some distances which you must respect. With the new system, it will be different. But again, it's happening now, and we are ready for that. We are not limited with the first product, so we can start with the initial product until the, let's say, old legislation.
Okay.
It's already for the new one.
So when you take off the car and when you take off and fly and you will break some rules, how will the police chase you and give you the fine?
No, I believe that there are some countries which are having supercars as a police car, so maybe they will buy some. But of course there is a regulation, of course, so pilots are controlled and any conflicts with the legislation will be then covered.
Okay. We have one question here which is dangerous. How do you tackle if Aeromobil is used as a terrorist device?
Excuse me?
What happens if Aeromobil is used as a terrorist device?
Good question. I had it.
I know you get this all the time.
Yeah, but if you would like to attack something, it's much cheaper, easier, and it happens to take a pickup with explosive materials and to park it somewhere. You can rent a car and hit or rent the plane. So it's nothing which will change what's already accessible in the market.
Okay. So far, looking back for the 5 years, what was your biggest challenge in a company?
To be able to scale in a way that still the technology will be growing and will be able to combine what we are calling old world and a new world. So really not to have it as a super toy for super rich, but really to scale it, as I said, in a way that a lot of people will have an access to the technology through the sharing economy and this kind of things. So this is crucial, and still be able to build it as a global company, because we are not the only ones. Of course, more and more competitors are coming to the market. So still be unique, be advanced, and succeed.
Let's talk about competition, because there is a bunch of players on the market, like Terrafugia and some other guys. And many investors, when I speak to them, or industry players, they mention these cases when we talk about the flying car. How much have you learned from your competition?
No, first of all, it's really great that we are not the only ones. And we are trying to have the best possible relations. And really, I have a big respect to all those teams which are trying to build the flying cars with maybe different design, different technology. It's good because we have the common goal. We have a lot of common interest with regulation and certification, which is really helping, and we are in contacts with the other teams in US, in Europe. And of course, some learnings could be taken from them that, for example, not start to take deposits sooner than you have the final configuration, because then your clients will be not very happy waiting for years for something which is not.
Of course, this happened to Tesla as well, a little bit. Yeah. So we know that you still want to launch next year, right?
We promised this publicly, so we said that we will start to commercialize Aeromobil next year, which means that we will start to take deposits and pre-orders.
So when do you finalize the spec? When do you finalize the specification?
Yeah, the plan is that this year is dedicated for the final configuration, and then the first delivery 2018, which is extremely ambitious. Big companies, they need really years and years, just maybe some upgrade of existing model. Yeah. But you know, still we are in a startup world, and we must build a lean company, and we are working really precisely on the timing, on gateways, and looks that still it's extremely ambitious, but it's doable, and it's enough for us.
I want to ask the question to the audience about the price before I ask you. How many of you think, how much was the first Tesla?
The Roadster was 150.
So $150,000 for the Roadster, which is not a flying car. How many of you think the flying car will be more expensive than 200,000? Let's talk about dollars, right? Raise your hand. How many of you think it's going to be more than $500,000? Okay, still a few. How many of you would pay more than $1 million for a flying car? One, there you go. Two. Right. Interesting.
The young man.
Young man, yeah. So how expensive is it going to be?
Again, I would love to answer, but as I explained, until the final configuration, it's not clear which will influence the final price. So definitely it will be more than 200,000 euros. So it's combination.
Talking about the version, the first version which comes out.
First version, yeah. So,
and you have a plan of bringing it down for the second version and the third version?
Sure. More we will produce, so then economy of scale will work. But the initial product will be in the price, there will be a combination of both functionalities, car, plane, and uniqueness.
Interesting. And in terms of the engine, you're still finalizing it? The engine size and the engine in the car? It's not final yet?
No. We are testing more than one option. We are looking for the best from both worlds, again, from aviation, from automotive, and really trying to have a solution which will be best for this unique product.
Yeah. I still keep thinking about Tesla when I look at this product, and what Elon Musk often says is he often says to people, what is the range of the car? What is approximately the range of the flying car?
No, what we are planning for the initial product, that the range will be 1,000 kilometers.
1,000 kilometers.
Yeah. But it's much longer distance you are able to achieve because it's straight. It's A to B, so it's not like on a curved road, but it's fast and straight.
And how many changes do you need to the infrastructure to be able to fly a car? Do you need some added lines to the highway, or what do you need?
No, again, for the initial product, there is already an amazing infrastructure. If you will take a look, even here in UK, in US, even in my country, that there is so many small sporting airstrips. In US, a lot of golf clubs, they have their private airstrip. So you can utilize and you can use the existing infrastructure. And as a car, roads are already existing. But in the future, as I showed on those visualization, each petrol station could be easily adopted into the point when you can land and take off, or next to the highways, maybe each 50 miles, there will be an additional grass strip which will allow you to take off and to land, and to combine both ways.
So you just use this existing infrastructure and you can just use a plane and a car and fly it? You don't need any additions or any regulation in terms of marking of the place, or can you just take off from the highway, or you can't?
No, you can't. There are some exceptions, like for example in Alaska, there's a regulation in Alaska, you can take off from the highway.
Oh, interesting.
But it's just one country. Of course, you need to fulfill the requirements, so you need to have a contact with the tower. So but the systems which are there, for example, in initial product, there is Garmin, which is doing this job. So of course, you can do it without the communication.
So you're plugging into the efforts of others. Let's talk about PR for a while, because I don't know how you do that. It's a mystery to me. It's a cool car, but there are many cool cars who are flying. How the heck did you get into all these media outlets? What is your secret?
You know, a lot of time my clients in my agency ask me that, Juraj, why are you not doing such a great work for us that for zero you have the global coverage? And I told them it was not easy to find the right words for that, but you know, you need an absolute.
Come on, don't tell us your PR budget is zero.
Yeah. So,
seriously?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. So how do you start? How do you start convincing CNN or BBC or all these Forbes magazines to write about you? What's the secret?
I think that the most important decision was that we presented it as a technology, not as something which is just future expensive product, but we're really showing that we are focusing with Aeromobil on technology side of this innovation, and of course the combination of the regular media, social media, that we were able to attract some really opinion leaders, which give us the credibility in the media, and of course the product itself, it's so sleek and interesting, and the crucial was also that we were not just describing something which in future people will be able to see, but we demonstrated also with the first 2.5 and 3.0, and these videos makes really their job itself.
This is true. But was it hard to convince the first journalist to write about you?
Not really. We are being approached on daily basis with a lot of media asking the questions. But as I said, we need to over-deliver, not over-promise. We could be each week on some global conference presenting Aeromobil. We are receiving an invitation from all the major auto shows just to showcase Aeromobil there. But this is not the right story because we need to build it as a serious company.
True, you do, and you do a good job doing that. Now, you're mentioning IP on several spots. I know that you are using a company, a legal company who is world class.
Here in London.
Here in London. How did you choose a company, and why did you decide to use a world class company for the IP protection?
Very, very important question for me. I have to say that at the beginning of this project, when I started really to build it in real, a lot of my very close friends was not knowing what I'm doing because I realized that what we have in our hands is something absolutely unique and I need to cover IP. So as I was working all my life with copyrights, with intellectual property, I was talking to my lawyers locally in Slovakia, but they were so clever. They told me that, look, this is something bigger than we are, so we need to talk to some global companies. So in 2013, I ran a global pitch, when in the final I have two in between really the global, maybe 5 most respected companies for IP. And then we choose the one which we are using still, and it's very important because we are competing with other teams, and technology behind this is unique, and we need to protect this IP.
It's true, you do. And do you have any breaches in the IP, or so far it's working fine?
Not yet, but I'm sure it will come.
Yes. Let's talk about the roadmap. So we know that you plan to finalize the spec and launch next year. How many versions do you want to keep bringing up on the market?
No, with the initial product, you must be absolutely focused, so it will be just one version, because you need really to set up the production and to have full control. We are really absolutely keen to have it absolutely safe and functional and unique, so it will distract the team if it will be immediately from the very first product more than just one option. Of course, there will be some personalization. You will be able to have some specific options, but the basic components and specification will be just one.
Yeah. When it comes to the customer list, the list of potential customers, it seems like you're going to have way more customers on the waiting list than you can deliver. How will you choose these customers?
There is no waiting list at the moment, as I described. And of course, but we are, it's very important because it's a business, so it must create some profit. With the initial product, it will be a very diverse group of people. It will be not just one type of customers, of course, a lot of people which are passionate pilots and aviators. They are really approaching us, and it could be one group of future customers. Then for some of the people, it will be just a showing off, because the factor of having the flying car is a really strong showing off element. I deeply believe that the tech pioneers, the people which are ruling the tech world, will love our product and will start to take their flying lessons and be our future customers. So it will be a diverse group of customers with the initial product.
And so you're going to launch this initial product, and you will stay with the flying car, or do you want to keep evolving the product range of your portfolio?
No, we already have some ideas and some initial projects for the next product, but of course it's in a stealth mode, so what we can discuss is just the initial product. But of course in a company we are also discussing and planning what we will be after.
Okay. Do you think it's potentially possible to build a self-flying driving car, driverless car?
Yeah, I already mentioned that all these things are happening just now, and it's really great for us that we can combine in Aeromobil all those technologies. So what we want, and really it's happening, that we would like to have not only as a there's a flying car, but as a showcase for a lot of technologies. So we are trying to incorporate into Aeromobil all these new inventions and new technologies which are happening in outside world, and to incorporate them into Aeromobil.
Yeah. Let's take some questions from the audience, because we are taking them as we speak, and we answered a bunch of them already. But some of you who would like to ask something in person, raise your hand, and we'll ask Juraj in person. So Claude, there you go. So what is your, do you have any sharings for other hardware startups? Any lessons to hardware startups?
Okay. Tough question. Of course, build the initial product. My experience is that just describing somebody that how this will work, if you are able to demonstrate in physical presence, the initial product is really game-changing. But don't stick to that in a next step because, for example, what we are doing at the moment, we are building the new prototypes, but just digitally because it's much faster, it's much more efficient, and it's much more respected by the regulators because we can demonstrate that it's fulfilling all the requirements. So start analogically and then move into digital world.
How do you keep iterating fast? So because it's very hard to, it's easy to have a cycle of 2 weeks for software startups, but if you need to print something and build something and wait for parts to be delivered, how do you keep iterating fast? What is your secret?
No, that for example, that we are having from each prototype just one piece. So many times a lot of people was asking me why you don't have from 3.0 3 pieces because there is a lot of interest. You can demonstrate it. It will just block our capacities. So we are really moving super fast. What I showed on those slides that between 2.5 and 3.0 there was just 10 months, and it's a very unique product.
Are you not afraid of something going wrong and having an accident and losing the prototype?
No, it happens also. We had an accident. It's part of this kind of projects. So you need to test it in real life and then once you find what's the problem to fix it.
And that's actually a good point because it did happen. How many of you have heard about the accident which the flying car had? Okay, there's a few here. Yes, what happened?
No, during this period of time when you are building something, you need to test it. And during one testing flight, a very unusual situation happens because we were testing one of the many configurations. And the testing pilot decided absolutely, first of all, very fast and right that we have incorporated also in a previous one and also in this one, ballistic parachute deployment, which is amazing technology. You just push one button or even automatically, in a case of emergency, there is a deployed parachute. Nobody needs to jump out from the vehicle and the whole Aeromobil will safely land on a parachute.
There's no parachute for the driver, for the flyer?
Yeah, it's for the whole
it's
car.
For the whole car.
Yeah. So it was tested, and for us it was, of course, some unpredictable situation, which we need to deal with. But what was amazing that all the global technology media, they was really feeling this as a confirmation that even in this stage, the project is so advanced that it was safe enough.
Yeah. Just to give some background for the audience, what happened actually, the flying car, it used the parachute, it fell down, it would crashed a little bit. Amazingly, there was this celebration in the nearby village, and there was a TV crew there, and they were the first one on the scene. And this seems like the perfect PR disaster, right? Because they shot the car before anybody else, before you were there.
Yeah.
How did you save the situation?
It was really funny because when this happens, really nobody knows. First TV, so I saw it on TV.
You saw your own car, which you financed with your own budget, on TV crashed.
And actually, I was sitting at a dinner with the first investor, which just 1 month ago, before this accident,
no way.
Give money to us. So
how do you save it? What do you do?
Immediately, I took a phone and I called all the top managers. So in like 30 minutes, we were sitting in a boardroom and we were dealing with this. And first of all, of course, you need to say to everybody truth and explain what was the case, what happens, and what's the result. And really was able to manage it in a way that in really few hours, we turn it from the bad story into good story because we show that, of course, testing is for testing. crash test was created to destroy the car to see what will be the result and if it will be safe enough. So we tested in real life, and the proof of the functionality in the real world was at the end a positive story.
Yeah, I have to admit that your experience in PR and managing crises is incredible. We had a similar situation where we had Guy Kawasaki coming to Slovakia, and there was a situation, and you gave us incredible advice, which you've learned from this situation and a few months earlier. So it was amazing, and it works. So thanks for that. We have a question here on Slido from Anonymous. You only showed men from some of your teams. Are there any women in your team who are in the management or engineering?
A very good point. You can visit our website, aeromobil.com, so you can see some also female faces. And I'm asking my team permanently, we need more ladies in the engineering team. So if there are some here, please.
So female engineers.
Then talk to us, and
watch out.
We need really also the female point of view from technical side.
Okay. Let's take 2-3 more questions from the audience, and then we wrap it up. Okay, please stand up and say your question.
Tesla just made some of the patents, or all of the patents, I don't know, open source. Consider doing that in the future?
Very good question. Are you considering doing your IP open source?
Yeah, so once we will be at the same valuation as Tesla, maybe we will also reveal our IP to the public. But of course, what they revealed was not all. Of course, okay, it's working again. With the prototypes, it's a different stages of prototypes. So it's experimental prototype, which recent ones was the experimental prototype. Now we are moving towards PP, pre-production prototype, which first it's digital release and then it's physical release. And once you have approved PP, you can start the production.
Okay, now, okay, you are the last one now.
Is it going to be available in emerging markets, let's say Africa? Are you looking to expand into areas that don't have much electricity, the roads aren't as good? What's going to happen in areas like that?
Yep, absolutely.
It's going to be available in emerging markets. You want to fly to South Africa from here, right?
Sorry?
You want to fly to Africa and back on the flying car?
No, salads in Africa.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's going to be available there.
Definitely, our plan is to promote Aeromobil as a global project, and these remote areas will be an amazing use cases for us. So Australia, Kazakhstan, Brazil, all those countries we are dealing with a Lego infrastructure and a limited road infrastructure will be an amazing place for us.
Okay, now let's wrap it up. Please give it a warm thank you to Juraj Vaculik from Aeromobil.
Thank you very much.